Hey everybody, Shedding Dog here. And on this really cold yet sunny day, we're going to take a look at something interesting. This is my early 2007 Core 2 Duo iMac. It's pretty much close to a fully loaded machine. The best part is I got this machine for free. Basically, the story behind this computer here is that my friend was complaining that all he had was an iMac and it was really fucking slow and it couldn't game. So I told him, well, before you fork out a bunch of cash and build yourself a gaming computer, let's see what I have lying around the house. And this is back before I sold all my vintage computer stuff and all the other parts like that, because I really have no use for any of that stuff anymore. But I had a couple computers lying around and a decent video card lying around and some processors and stuff, and I ended up building him a AMD Phenom quad-core 9850 with 7 gigs of RAM, a Quadro 4000 video card, and a 500 gig hard drive. And it's a pretty decent little system. I mean, it's a huge upgrade over this thing you'll see in a minute, but he came to my house with cash and I told him, nah, don't worry about it. Probably could have used that cash. But we've been friends since we were kids, and you know, friends help each other out and stuff. And basically one day I asked him, you know, when I got into my Apple stuff, what are you doing with that iMac? And he pretty much said, you know what, you can have it, whatever. So here I am now with an early 2007 iMac, and you'll see why he was pretty pissed off with this machine and why it wouldn't game for him. But I use the machine just about every day in my workshop here to look up part numbers and videos on how to fix things and stuff like that, and I've even edited a video or two on this thing, and it's pretty decent, honestly. So if you aren't already bored enough with me just sitting here talking in front of a screen, well, basically I'll tell you more about this computer. It belonged to his sister, and she got it back in 2007 for CAD work, and she's doing architecture or something like that. And either way, the old Radeon that's in this thing just wasn't cutting it anymore, so she got a new one, and this was passed down to him. Now it's passed down to me, and it's pretty sweet. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive, 4 gigs of RAM, Core 2 Duo, 2 gigahertz, and a Radeon graphics card. We'll get the number for that in a minute, but it's only got like 128 megabytes of video RAM, so it's pretty useless. At one point in time, this machine was opened up, presumably to put in this 1 terabyte hard drive, and whoever worked on it gave absolutely zero fucks. Now you see me? No you don't. Now you see me? No you don't. Basically what happened is right around here, you can see this, when they had this thing lying down wherever and they were upgrading the hard drive in it, they scratched the actual digitizer on the inside, amongst other things. There's fingerprints on the digitizer in both corners here. It's really hard to see. Trying to focus in on it, but you can kind of see it right there. Fingerprints right there, and there's a bunch of dust like on the actual inside here. Right in the corner there too, you can see. Really bad. Whoever worked on this really did not care. The actual unit itself though works perfectly fine. I mean, I don't really care about that stuff. It's a computer that's going to sit in my workshop anyway, so it's going to see a bit of damage. Yeah, we can go over here to this iMac. Take a look here. 2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, 4 gigs of RAM. I might consider the unofficial 6 gig upgrade. We have the Radeon HD 2400 XT. It's just absolutely miserable, but it's still somewhat capable. We're also running OS X El Capitan, which is the last this poor little machine will run, but it does a pretty damn good job at it, I gotta say. I have the system connected to my my backup hard drive attached to the network. There's tons of old videos from when I was a kid here and doing all that vintage computer stuff, but you know, it's also good for checking my mail. I have an app here to check messages on my phone. I have iTunes here to stream music through my network attached storage. I got my disk utility here for doing diagnosis on hard drives and stuff. Got the terminal there. Google works perfectly fine. It's perfect for browsing the web, really. And I'll show you YouTube video playback shortly. It's actually surprisingly good. One huge setback with this iMac though, and I don't know what the deal is with it, but Wi-Fi was absolutely atrocious. Nothing would load over the network. You know, you could barely browse the web. It would take forever to load web pages. I thought it might have been the computer, but basically the Wi-Fi card on this thing doesn't work very well unless you're close to the router. Maybe the guy who cracked this thing open broke it. I don't know. Apparently it's never worked very well, so this could just be a problem with these models, but I didn't let that stop me. I have no wired access in this room, so I had to come up with another solution. I mean, I could have stuck with the shitty Wi-Fi, but that would have been pretty useless because all I do with this thing is browse the web anyways. So if you see up there, I have a little wireless card. It's actually one that I bought when I built a Hackintosh a couple of years ago. That's a whole other story though, but it's compatible with Mac OS, so I just hooked that thing up to the Mac and put it there, and you know, internet access isn't a problem anymore. It does a pretty decent job. And here we have a 1080p video streaming over my network. As you can tell, this Mac plays it just fine. There's absolutely no problems with it. I don't know if maybe there's something to do with the network. Maybe it's downscaled because it goes over the network, but I really wouldn't think that. Either way, 1080p video plays just fine, so I'm surprised for an old system like this. The hardware is actually able to pull it off. But the real question is, how can it handle 1080p video on YouTube using Flash? A lot more demanding than, you know, just playing a QuickTime file or something like that. So here we have 720p HD 60 FPS. Seems to play just fine, honestly. Now you won't be able to see the 60 FPS because of this fucking camera, but it plays just fine. One thing I noticed though is if you're kind of active and moving the mouse around a little bit, it does tend to slow down. But let's try 1080p 60 FPS, see how that works out. You can tell the audio is way off, and it's not actually loading the video, it's just buffering because it can't keep up. But if we go ahead and try regular 1080p, I'm sure it would play just fine, but 1080p 60 FPS is just a little too demanding for something like this. Overall though, the system works pretty well. It does what I need it to do, mainly just browsing the web and watching a few videos here and there when I'm bored. But I've got some other stuff on there like iMovie. Told you I made a video on here. Wouldn't recommend it. It can be choppy when you're dealing with 1080p video, and I have an old camera. If you're looking to make movies and stuff, go with a 2009. If you're on a tight budget, even maybe go for a late 2008. I could not recommend a 2007 of any model because they just don't have the video cards to pull it off. Still very, very useful for other stuff, you know, if I want to bring up Word here. Got my copy of Word, I can open up documents and stuff. It's basically just a machine that's right here to do work and stuff for me. It's not meant to be a powerhouse computer. The year is 2017 and you're looking at a 10-year-old iMac. Should you buy it? Well, to answer that question, we're gonna have to do a little bit of research. If we're factoring out everything related to price, I could honestly recommend one of these systems, but you have to be somebody who uses their computer just for daily tasks. You know, if you're somebody who likes to browse the web, watch YouTube videos, and, you know, occasionally here and there you like to do some photo editing, that's all stuff you can do on this. But don't expect it to be very fast. You're gonna have to be a bit patient. The pretty looks of this machine come at an expensive cost. So if we browse local classifieds, there's one with an SSD here, 2.4 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, $300. Now keep in mind, this is all Canadian, I'm a leaf cuck. $300. If you were to look up a Core 2 Duo system with an SSD and 4 gigs of DDR2 RAM, you're probably looking at a computer that's going to be about $100 to $140. So right off the bat, you're paying way more than what you should for something that is old. It's 10 years old. And you're paying $300 for it. This guy here, he has a base model, much like this one. Pretty much the exact same config, $250. Now let's see what we get when we look at some Core 2 Duo PCs. There's this Dell, you know, mini tower right here. Better Core 2 Duo than this one here. An NVIDIA GT 4400, decent video card. I mean, obviously you're not going to be playing games on that. 8 gigs of RAM, 2 terabyte hard drive, $170. I just can't recommend one of these computers to buy at this day and age. It is just not even remotely worth it. I mean, look, $80 gets you this 2.7 gigahertz Core 2 Duo desktop with a monitor and everything. So, you know, I really can't recommend buying one of these computers. It's just ridiculous. If you can come across one of these for $150 or less, I say go for it. It's Apple hardware, it's overpriced, it looks pretty. $150 or less for something like this, I think that's fair price. Anything above that, it's just not even remotely worth. I would consider this a bare bones system. It gets you through the basic tasks and nothing more. I really can't recommend buying one of these computers in 2017. If you can pick one up for a really good deal, then I say fuck it, why not? like I said, Apple brand name. It looks pretty. It'll do you well as like a kitchen computer or something like that. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps you determine if you want to buy one of these things. I absolutely love mine. I got it for free though. Can't say anything else for other people, but yeah.